was like, wow, I like helped make this skin. And I hope that players out there enjoy the skin and have as much fun with it as I will.
Over the wall, tries to save Gun for his life, and he has done it. He sacrifices himself, so the little lady carry gently. 4 members go into that ultimate. Mimic will fall down, and this is a 3-0 and Baron. 5-man ultimate out of Pat Price. He's just doing no damage. Now it is going to be the on into the back lane. 2-man knockup, and once again AV has turned this game on its head, and Mammoth will take all 3 points and 2-0 Tectonic. And a 5-man knockup from Parvu already flares out of the fight, and it is an absolute wash. Avant bounce back and take down Legacy. Hello and welcome to the OPL, of course, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. I'm Jake Spawn Tiberi. Joining me is Bryce, Egan Paul. And Bryce, you made a bold claim last week, and that was you were going back to the gym.
Oh.
How many times have you been to the gym this week?
Wait, what day are we? This is a Friday.
This is a Friday.
I've been 4, I think.
You
4.
think? Or
No,
you
4.
know?
4.
Is that a definitive 4?
I think it's 3 or 4.
All right,
3 or 4 out of 5 days. That's pretty good.
Let's go with 3. That is a very good effort. How is it working out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a twig, but that's okay. Like, we'll get there one
feeling
day.
good?
What about you? How many times have you been to the gym? Yeah, I feel really good.
I've been twice. So
Okay.
I think that's a fairly good effort for a new dad.
I've also made a significant effort to drink a lot more water.
Yeah,
So-
I've been doing that
Yeah.
as well.
So I need to go to the bathroom all the time, but I'm definitely healthier.
Staying very healthy. So if you hear Bryce or I go quiet during the cast today, it is probably because we've nicked off to the bathroom. However, people that are here right now are going to be the members of our couch, which is Nick as well as Coach Sharp of the Direwolves. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you going?
I just pee into the cup. Thank you very much for having us for the evening. My favorite, I hope no one else is watching who's been on the couch. Curtis, how are you, mate?
Your first love.
Yeah, you got that right. How you doing?
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Really good.
Well, we're going to be here for the evening. Now, we've got a stack of things to get through. We are going to be running a competition for you guys to win 2 tickets to the Melbourne Esports Open to see the OPL Grand Final in September. It is a double pass to the entire weekend, including the OPL Finals on the Sunday. All you need to do is suggest to us what picture Juves and I are going to paint tomorrow. So this is sort of a 2-part competition. We want submissions for League of Legends imagery, whether it's a character portrait, or it's a picture of Jake coughing, or it's a landscape, or it's hero, sort of whatever you want. It needs to be League of Legends related. There is a link in the chat right now. There should be right now the Google form, and you can submit your picture there. We're going to pick the best ones today. You're going to help me pick that, and potentially inflict some pain onto Juves.
Yeah, I mean, I think any great artwork depicting and foreshadowing our win at the Melbourne Esports Open would be greatly appreciated.
I like it. I like it. It's a mind game against an opponent who will then need to paint that tomorrow, which I think is really great. And so all of the finalists that get picked tonight will be winning skins and mystery chests, but the winner will get themselves 2 tickets to the Melbourne Esports Open in September. And if you don't win, that's very sad for you, but you can buy tickets by going to Ticketat, and you can come along and be part of that event. So it should be a great evening. Are you artistic?
I'm actually not very artistic whatsoever. I am terrible at drawing. And I actually have been called artistic, but the different type of artistic in-game in solo queue.
Oh my god. That was such a walk around the park to get to a really nice self-congratulatory boast there. But you guys with the Esports Open, it's looking like Direwolves potentially will be there, which is very exciting. And that means that while you would be there, it is also your guys' opportunity to be there, because not only can you come along, we are running the music competition. It ends tomorrow at midnight. So you guys have been putting together some incredible songs. You've been submitting the prizes, of course. We will professionally get your song professionally recorded, and it will play at the event. It is nearly over. The opportunity for you to submit your submission is nearly over. It closes midnight tomorrow night, so please get them in, and you'll be played onto stage with your amazing playing and whatever sort of compliment you want to give yourself here to an awesome song.
Yeah, great. Looking forward to it.
Going to be a hell of a night. Guys?
I can't sing. I think that's like fairly obvious for anyone that's been around me.
For someone that can't sing, you sing a lot.
But sing so much for someone who can't sing. The entire Rift Rivals event, you were just singing all the time.
But do you get used to it? That's my question, right? Because like I think that I sing to such a point that now people are just used to my singing.
It's definitely one of those confidence-based things where you just sing, so everyone's like, yeah, Jay can sing. Whether you're bad or good, like you don't preface it being like, look, I'm not very good, but I'm just gonna belt out a banger.
Yeah, I just belt out a banger.
Yeah.
Also,
so like,
the thing about you're a fan of musical theatre, as am I, and we were at the State Theatre when you or I were on stage. It was sort of 10 seconds before the cameras were going live on us, and you looked at me and you were like, "Do you feel like just belting out a show tune?" I was like, "Yes, I do, Jake."
That would have been actually the best moment of my life. But let's get into some League of Legends action. Let's kick off the show by going through the standings. It is going to be Direwolves right now at the top of the table. They are still undefeated. 13 points right now. Order are going to be second place on 9. And of course, Chiefs, Mammoth, and Tectonic round out the current playoff teams. Avant, Bombers, and Legacy down bottom of the ladder, Bryce. I don't think anyone expected that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's 3 things there to take away from me. It's the fact that Direwolves are the only team that have more than 1 point gap over their next best. It's that AV are 6, so that's precariously close to hitting that 5th place mark. And then Legacy all the way at the bottom. Like, this has been a disastrous split for them.
And I will say that Direwolves right now are looking very secure. Even though we're only halfway through the split, teams are looking at a Hail Mary. We'll see whether one can be thrown. Tectonic is going to kick us off versus Legacy tonight before Avant Gaming take on Mammoth. And the Bombers tomorrow night will try and upset the Direwolves, who are currently undefeated, before the boys from Melbourne Order will take on the Chiefs in what is a grudge match. Spooks and Swiffer back up against their old lineup.
Boys from Melbourne, by the way.
Is that all the analysis you got?
That is all the analysis you need. Like Melbourne team, Melbourneian boys, and they're taking on the Chiefs.
This is what I have to work with day in, day out, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into game number 1. It's going to be Tectonic taking on Legacy. They fly as one. And this game right now is not what you would have thought. Tectonic trying to cement themselves as a legitimate playoff contender, whilst Legacy are trying to figure out where it all went wrong and can they make it right?
Yeah, absolutely. Legacy really, like we've been saying this every single week, but they really need to start picking up wins here. Whereas Tectonic, just trying to cement themselves. You saw on the player lineup there, it will be Guncrab coming in today as well. Value, still nowhere to be seen for this lineup, so they're still playing with a substitute now coming into week number 6, which is super rough, but Tectonic have looked pretty good.
They certainly have. Of course, they've looked maybe good enough to take the tipping as well. Head over to opltips.com.au. Have your say. XP boosts as well as RP giveaways are on the cards thanks to our good friends at Hungry Jacks. Bryce, before you get in, I am out. I'm not doing the tipping contest anymore. I refuse.
This is bollocks. Like earlier today, he forgot to put his tips in last week, and so did I. So it should just be, because we're just competing against each other. It should just be like flat, like we just wipe that week off and it's done. But no, you're just complaining. And he's the guy that plays tag and then is now and he's just out of the game. He's like, no, I'm not tipping anymore. I'm done.
The reason I'm not tipping is because I got a couple of very controversial tips right last week that you won't give me credit for in our contest, so I'm not playing anymore.
I don't control the tipping competition.
You knew who I had tipped out. Let's get into this game number 1. On the blue side, it is going to be Tectonic. Papraz in the top lane. Lucky, Civil is their jungler. TikTok Shock on the clock in the mid lane. Guncrab and Trance are their bottom lane. Of course, Johnny Cyclone Weatherly, good friend of the show, is their coach. And as you mentioned, Guncrab, potentially the last week this young man can play. So they better get value onto Summoner's Rift soon.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been the sub of choice. They've played a bunch of different styles with him. Guncrab looks like he is comfortable on the majors. He's played things like the Heimerdinger last week, played 2 games. He's played Rise and stuff like that. But yeah, this is the last week. I think from talking to him, because he's on a loan agreement, he's a Chiefs Academy player that's playing for Tectonic. So it will be the last week. I feel like that we're going to see him for Tectonic in the OPL.
So with that being said, there's still ways that they can win this game. Because they've won some tough games in the past. Is it through Trance? What do they have to do with their support?
Which is, yes, I think yes. And it's super surprising that they need to try and play through the lane that actually has a substitute. But Trance has been playing incredibly well, but they need to get him onto things like the Thresh, onto things like the Fiddlestick, stuff like that where he can pop off. Because he made some incredible plays last week. That read on the dive going towards Paprise when he's playing Tom Kench, level 5 brown bag Toad just walks out of base to top lane to protect the dive. Like, that is an incredible play. But all that does is stop Paprise from dying once. Whereas if you make an incredible play on Thresh, on Ali, on Fiddlesticks, you just wipe a team fight and you win the game. So I feel like a lot of their priorities need to go into getting Trance like a good matchup where he can be proactive.
Should he name change to Neo?
Should he?
Potentially.
Because he sees the Matrix? Is that where you go?
The Matrix, Bryce. They're going up against Legacy. Of course, they play as one. Mimic is their top laner. Only their jungler. Claire, their superstar Melbourneian mid laner.
Melbourne, by the way.
Raid, of course, is from Melbourne as well. Decoy is their support. Soul Strikes is their coach. And whilst he will be pacing, I think he will also be scratching the old noggin. Because this is a team that when they lose, they're losing 0-2. And when they win, they're winning 2-1. Generally, Bryce, you want that to be happening in the opposite fashion.
Absolutely, because Bombers have actually only won a single set this split, but Legacy find themselves down in points because when they lose hard, so they're sitting in last place for a team that came third last split. They went to Rift Rubbers, they knock Order out of the gauntlet, so they've proven that they can make those runs, and they're going to have to do it, and it's going to have to start today.
So we had a lot of notes written down. It doesn't get any easier. Tectonic into Order, into Bombers, into Chiefs. So, you know, you would say Tectonic and Bombers, two very winnable games. Order of Chiefs right now, probably look at cut above. But the one question on my mind before we get into Champion Select is, what is wrong with this lineup? Is it the personnel change? Is it a meta issue? Are they just not playing well, which happens to pro players, and they're going to turn the corner? What is going on?
I think it's certainly a case of, like, some of their losses, they have just played bad. And, you know, that happens to, like, every team. Players go through slumps, stuff like that. But they really need to, like, bring it together cohesively. This is a team that, when they make mistakes, they're not happy to chop off the leg to save the body. They just all in. And that was proven by their, like, 3v2 last week versus AV, where Only gets caught bound underneath the turret. Decoy goes in, tries to save him. Ray gets caught with a binding at the back. So they just keep doubling down on mistakes and stuff like that, where, like, everyone is on the same page, but, like, they're just making the wrong decision, and it's costing them hugely.
Because don't get me wrong, they can turn this season around. In fact, if they win 2-0 here, they'll go equal with Tectonic. And this is one of those weeks where you would expect the winners to win and the losers to lose. What I mean from that is Mammoth should beat Avant, and Bombers should lose to Direwolves, meaning that Legacy could jump to 5th place. But for them to do that, they have to show us something different. As we are into Champion Select, it's going to be Braum, Zoe, Poppy taken off the board, Aatrox, as well as Morgana. Fiddlesticks banned away.
And I really like this, because I'm looking at Legacy, sure, they banned away the Fiddlesticks from Trance, but we've seen multiple teams in the OPL prove that they're willing to just blind pick the Rakan if Morgana is off the table, and Legacy on the red side set that up, and I'm really happy that Trance picks up the Rakan first off the bat.
Certainly the best engaged support right now. Uncontested in that regard. Alistair with Flash is very good, but Rakan with Flash is better.
100%, and that might just be paired with a Swain down on the bottom side for Legacy. We haven't seen, like, too much success for Mages on the bottom lane. For the most part, it will just be flexed across the map, though.
It's super interesting, right? Because internationally, Mage bots, I think, have like a 65, nearly even a 70% win rate when they're matched into a traditional 80 carry. But in Oceania, you would say that the traditional 80 carries are moving back up.
And I feel like more and more teams are just trending towards going back to, like, the traditional 80 carries, right? Like AV last week, they went double crit 80 carry. For Darkside, he looked much better than his previous week, so the fact that teams have, like, had some time on the Mages and they're like, look, it's not working out, and they're just going back to traditional 80 carries, I like it.
Xayah, Taliyah, as well as Yasuo locked in right now. Want to talk about the Taliyah lock-in for potentially Sybil playing up against his old lineup. You mentioned to me that you think sometimes Sybil can get into his own head. Now playing against a team that dropped him to replace him with Only.
And that's the big thing. Sybil struggles greatly against the Direwolves, and a lot of people, specifically Carbon, says it's because of Schönfire, not the Direwolves specifically, but I'm thinking, like, this is Sybil's old lineup, the first time he has played Legacy since he was dropped off the team there. Now onto Tectonic, has had some very bad games, had some very good games. We'll see which Sybil turns up today.
And I'm thinking right now that that could potentially be Yasuo bottom lane, Bryce. We used to talk about the fact that Braum beat Xayah quite handily because of the ability to deny the feathers, especially outside of the ultimate. Thinking that Yasuo probably does that better.
He just eats them, you know, doesn't stop them at the wall. He just completely makes them disappear. And Ali Yasuo is a very obnoxious lane to play against. Sets up ganks so incredibly easy. Alistar can just flank around behind. He doesn't need to, like, get the 80 carry. I say that in quotation marks because I'm talking about a Yasuo in. Whereas that's something like Alistar can't overextend. When you have a wave and you're a Yasuo, it doesn't matter how far up the Alistar is looking for the engage. You can dash up the wave, you can close that distance and can set things up very easily.
You can also just guarantee the ultimate with one headbutt. Doesn't even need to be a pulse headbutt. Is airborne. Urgot, Syndra as well as the Sejuani. See whether they take away another engaged jungler, something like a Gragas potentially from Only.
We've seen Gragas kind of surge back into popularity. A few teams picking that one up last
Juice
week.
played it, I think, last week.
He absolutely did. Had the flash predict in the mid lane.
Yep.
But it won't be a jungler. It's actually just going to be Ornn.
But it is another engage option in the Ornn, so they really are trying to push Legacy towards a finesse comp, something that in the past I would say Legacy have struggled pretty mightily with as Trundle is locked in.
Which is sort of interesting to say, right? Because Mimic is a very good carry play. Like he came over to Oceania and he was known for his Gangplank, for his Fiora. Like when he was exposed to a bunch of these OS players that kind of didn't know who he was at the start of the split, right? But now all of a sudden target banning the Ornn away from him. Legacy don't want to go towards that style and they do just lock in very standard jungler.
And unfortunately, sometimes it's not about what you're good at, it's about what the team excels at. And Legacy excel when Mimic is there for the start of the team fight, not when he's joining late and a couple of members have already potentially fallen. It's going to be a Gangplank blind pick into Mimic, which is a brave move.
Yes. We saw Chippy's blind pick GP last week, I think it was. And he might just have a Galio in his back pocket, so that makes it a bit easier. But you have, like, Aurelia, Darius is up and available. Like, you have the hard tank, like Mundo. Like, that's not a great matchup, but you can look for dives with a Trundle, stuff like that. There's a lot of options here for Mimic.
What I would say is that they kind of have made Legacy either fight fire with fire or split the map.
Yep.
Are you going to lock in something that fights top lane, or are you going to lock in something that will defend this bottom lane from what will be a Galio ult, a Gangplank ultimate, Xayah Rakan, and Talia wall? Because that is a 5-man dive waiting to happen.
And I feel like they've sort of done both here. You know, Rumble is a very good matchup early into the GP. His early laning phase is very strong. The Flame Spitter can shove in. You can match the TP on the bottom side, and your ultimate, you can lay down the red carpet, can be super impactful. So Mimic has played this one before in the OPL. I'm unsure whether they won that game. I want to say they lost, and there was a bit of like miscommunication with Only as he was very new to the split, like in terms of diving top lane and stuff like that.
They did. They botched 2 top lane turret dives. Mimic dropped the equalizer not against the wall, which meant that I don't know who it was, could just sit behind the turret, and Only was playing Graves.
Yeah, and he couldn't auto through the
turret.
turret.
He was unkillable.
Yep. And it's a bit of a disaster. So they've shown this one before. Mimic has shown him that he can play the Rumble, and here, very confident to just pick that one up and take it into Paprise's Gangplank.
But once again, a pretty low tank comp. I mean, Only will be quite tanky, Decoy will as well, but they're off tanks versus a comp with a super tank in the Galio as the game progresses, as well as, you know, Trance going to be there for utility, and just a lot more ability to start up. Pretty easy team fights on the side of Tectonic. I would say the finesse is there, but the damage output coming out of Legacy will certainly be quite high if the game is at an equal point.
And it's going to come down to execution in terms of the engage. Legacy do have a bunch of champions that Claire can, like, now he's got the Yasuo, of course, it isn't bottom lane. He can skedaddle through minions. Decoy, Swain as well, can live for so long. So if Tectonic don't find the engage onto the carries they want, I feel like Legacy are tanky enough and have the counter engage to pull something off in a team fight. But I really like that the Rakan, to talk about what we were talking about pre-game, has gone to Trance. He's got the tools and is going to be the one setting things up for Tectonic.
Certainly does. So we are onto Summoner's Rift. Game number 1 of OPL Week 6. Tectonic taking on Legacy. We are joined right now by Johnny Cyclone Weatherly. Had a bounce on the trampoline this week, mate, or just League of Legends action?
Just League of Legends at school holidays, so class to stop. Yeah.
So we're looking at a comp that is, I mean, it seems pretty well-rounded, but at mid laner we haven't seen Shock play all that much. He is more known for some strange picks or hard carries. Now playing the Galio, which is more utility. Is this just an effort to more well-round the team, or what are you looking at here?
It's a mallet comp, dude. Hit him. Hit him real hard. And
I don't know what they are.
He's actually been working on his Galio for quite a long time, and I think we have played it a couple times to varying levels of success.
Okay, and I want to, of course, you weren't able to listen to us, but I was saying I feel like Tectonic with Trance on a proactive pick like the Rakan, like the Fiddlesticks, looks so much stronger. I want to ask, do you agree with that assessment at all? And like, is that something you go into draft phase thinking about, like unlocking your import in the bottom lane?
It's definitely something that we do think about, although I think he does really well on the some more supporty supports.
Yeah, his Tahm Kench last week was really good.
Yeah, he likes to joke that if he could be paid to play Janna and Soraka, like that would be his dream. So he's pretty happy with that kind of stuff too.
I'm going to hold your thoughts there. Flash Pulve out of the brush from Decoy, however, gets absolutely nothing, and now is taking a whole boatload of damage to the face. Very good delayed engage coming out of Tectonic. Looks like your boys are about to secure themselves a blue buff here.
All planned?
Looks good to me, yeah. Man.
All right, cool.
Trade
So my
flushes.
last question is, you're going up against a Yasuo, a Rumble, as well as a Swain. That is a lot of mid-game, team fight coming out. Is this a time bomb where you guys have the scaling, or do you think even though you're a mallet, you're stronger at every stage of the game?
Scaling is pretty tricky because like they have a lot of short range and we have like a pretty big wombo. So I think it's more about like who starts the fights on their terms rather than just like front to back. We're hitting you, you're hitting us, and we do more DPS.
All right, cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Cyclone.
Cool.
Of course, that is
Thank
a
you.
coach of Tectonic. That was a very nice delayed engage and a very strange response out of Decoy.
Yes, 100%. Legacy went for the all-in. Flash pole landed onto 2 people, but they just don't have the follow-up. Swain, level 1 damage, not true great, gets the rip back. Only on the Trundle would have to overextend a great deal, and this is what I'm talking about, Legacy doubling down on their mistakes. Only sat around for so long trying to get his blue buff back. This is against triple range, basically. As level 2 gets hit for Legacy, they get a very nice trade into the bottom lane, but you have a Talia, a Xayah, Rakan can hit you from range, he can throw out the W to Q, stuff like that. Versus double melee from level 1 in Legacy, there was no way they were ever going to contest that blue buff after Tectonic had set up for it, so very nice preparation from the Kiwi boys, and Legacy don't really have a good answer.
I agree. Strange level 1 coming out, flashing when you only have yourself a Swain and a Trundle, one ridiculously melee and the other does no damage. Pretty strange, as we saw a very nice engage in the bottom lane, as you mentioned, but only got the health potion. Sybil and Paprise, however, top lane, are in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, absolutely. Only coming in from the side, only
That's
level
a flash
2.
forward. Did get the auto attack, won't get much else. And now they are taking up a creep wave. Flash forward, however, out of Mimic.
Nice
Gets
flick.
shoved back and might actually be in a little bit of trouble here, Bryce. Teleport will be coming in. That's going to be a Galio rotating over as well. So they have full vision of everyone. Over the back goes Claire. Will be torn it up. Will get a lot of damage taken out as well.
Sybil, no
Sybil
flash.
gets another flick. No, it just misses. Paprise doesn't have the flash available. And now Shock has to burn his over the wall. So Legacy take it all.
And that was all off the back of Mimic's incredible early play in the lane. Had so much priority over Paprise, and he just walked straight 1v2 between the turrets, looking to pressure that one away. And Legacy, they come up with first blood. That was disastrous for Tectonic.
Certainly was, and they've lost all the summoner spells on the top side of the map. They've given up first blood to the Rumble, who we've already said, very potent early game carry.
And that was a Trundle without Pillar, right? Like, if that was a level later, if only had started his blue buff and ended up there anyway without getting counter jungled, then...
Very nice double knock up here coming out. That is going to be the snare landing onto Decoy. He has no flash, remember. Is the Ignite going to come out? No, it will not.
Absolutely won't, but this is now Sybil on the bottom-hand side of the map. He's going for the Scuttle Crabs. This can be a 3v2 into the bottom lane. No flash for the Alistar. So pre-6 is very susceptible to ganks and is very weak in this situation. If he can't look for the all-ins, he doesn't really have a lot of pressure, and Tectonic just looking to punish.
So top lane, a disaster. Everywhere else, however, looking very good right now for Tectonic. Another engage down into the bottom lane out of Decoy. Talia is not there, so Gunkrab takes a lot of damage.
But if they keep this up, sure they get like a good trade onto Gunkrab. He's fairly low, but if Decoy keeps sacrificing his HP, Rakan can heal the Xayah Rakan back up, things like that. This might just be a 2v2
Vacuum
mid.
comes out. That is going to be the cleanse. Popped, however, only is here, as you mentioned. When wall goes up, stops a lot of the damage.
They can't continue the chase into the river. Trundle is up and available there, so press the attack on the Chomp. Kind of scary to continue walking into. Shock used all his damage. He used his combo and basically had nothing left, so they do get the cleanse out of Claire.
However, there is going to be a pause. You can see Claire looking around quite inquisitively. Papara's just doing his stretches right now, warming up those hands. Oh, look at that.
That was satisfying. And I want to say something that's going to get me in trouble.
Yep.
As this is another Tectonic game with a pause. Now, you were saying Claire was looking around quizzically, so we don't know what the reason was or whose side actually paused here, but I'm just saying, Tectonic, they find themselves in a few unlucky situations here.
I'm just saying that Tectonic look a little bit confused, but it might be Trans's computer. Someone did just go up there. And no speaking from anyone during the pauses, obviously, Bryce. We hope this one is not the duration of the last one.
Yeah.
As I've been a little bit sick during the week.
Yeah, you have.
Actually, since Rift Rivals, I've had this. That's a long time.
It was too long away. Too long. Oh, I figured it out. You spent too much time out of Melbourne without going back.
That is actually...
OPL, it's like, sure, you come up here for 2-3 days, you cast OPL, then you go back. But that was OPL, 1 day off in Sydney, and then you had Rift Rivals. It's the Melbourne air. It works for you, and the Sydney air is just not doing it. It's not cutting it.
I actually reckon you might be onto something.
You reckon?
Sydney is toxic.
Oh,
It actually poisons my body.
Yeah, that's
And I haven't spent an extended duration in the blissful climate that is Melbourne.
That is an unfortunate ailment to have for someone that works in Sydney every weekend.
Yeah, it sucks. Let me tell you about it.
It's a bit rough.
It is
rough.
What else don't we like about Sydney?
I think Sydney's pretty good.
Do you?
Yeah, I like Sydney.
What do you like about it?
It's not
the booming nightlife.
Canberra. We've okay, yeah, Jake's mic's been turned off from Flaming City. He's saying hello right now. He can't speak. There's nothing he can say. No, I think Sydney's treating me pretty well. I've been here for a few years now in gaming houses, but now I'm out my own. You know, I don't have old Mitchie to look after me, so I got to cook my own food. I am an expert chef, by the way.
What is your go-to meal?
Well, I like stir fry. I made a ripper stir fry. Okay, hold on.
Talk me through it.
I have to tell you a disastrous story.
Because if you say I take Cantong out of a jar and put it...
So I use fish sauce, oyster sauce, and like soy sauce at the end of like my stir fry.
Okay.
And fish sauce is like thick and gluggy, right?
Yep.
And or it's oyster sauce, and I'm forgetting which one. Oyster sauce is thick and gluggy, and fish sauce isn't.
Yeah.
And I thought fish sauce was. So I upturned this bottle of fish sauce over the wok that I'm cooking stir fry, and thinking it's gonna like glug out of the bottle, and it's just straight liquid.
Yep.
And I just fish sauced the hell out of my stir fry. Oh, it was a disaster. It was. I'm obviously an expert chef.
I was
but
about to
this
say
week was a bit rough.
You opened this segment with "I'm a master chef," and then say I destroyed a meal for no good reason. We are back onto Summoner's Rift.
Thank God.
I still have to cook for you. I did promise you before the start of this season that I would.
me a lasagna.
Yeah, I'm a very good lasagna cooker.
Well, I'll await that with eager taste buds.
But we are back into the game. Nothing really happening during that pause, as you would expect it not to. Quite honestly.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit weird. I got some cheeky gameplay in.
We used to say that Claire was the pre-tier Rise. Pap Rise is a little bit of a pre-tier, pre-Sheen Gangplank right now, which is not the best shop either.
Does find some time to get a little bit of a base here, go back, pick that one up. Mimic has the priority, and instead of just spell flinging underneath the turret, went deep, went to look for a crab, some deep wards, put that ward on the Gromp, so Legacy know exactly where Sybil is on the Talia right now.
Flashback available for Decoy as well, so can play a little bit more aggressively in this bottom lane. Still don't think they have the damage to take down a Talia.
I feel like a lot of it's going to revolve around this man on your screen right now, the Galio being able to find his way onto the map, is now level 6, has the ultimate to go punch down a side lane, but in saying that top side of the map, Mimic constantly floating pressure mid means that Claire can constantly play up in this matchup. They have the pink ward above, actually on both sides of the mid lane in both dot bushes, so Legacy, their early vision around the mid lane is kind of just tethering Shock towards like his lane, and he can't escape.
And I feel like right now that Tectonic's bottom lane knows that. They're waiting in the side brush. They will start floating up there to try and get some vision control back over that lane. You can see they're actually sending Sybil in, because if you don't have control of one side of the mid as a Galio comp, I don't want to call you useless, but you don't do all that much.
Yep. You need to float your pressure somewhere, and that's actually a very deep pink ward under only right now. Tectonic, they invaded the blue buff on spawn, literally level 1, force him out, they took this one away. The pink ward is still there, only didn't have time to clear it up, wanted to prioritize the buff, and he gets forced off the second blue of the game. Yeah,
Vacuum doesn't hit from Shock, so that's not going to be a taunt up onto Claire, and in fact he took a boatload of damage. See whether this delays the invade. It does not for now, as you can see Only is just trying to trade to his stronger side of the map.
Absolutely. This is the right call out of Only. The bottom lane has priority. The Galio is now just floating bot side that Sybil cleared out this vision, so they have the capacity to just go over to that blue buff and steal it away. It kind of looks like Sybil isn't opting in for the trade right now, pressuring the mid lane. Taunt.
Vacuum gets the flash out, means that now they could potentially go for a play on this top side of the map. Big damage actually coming out of Paprise, because Only's level 4, Bryce.
He's 3 levels down the gangplank right now. Smite secures the blue buff, gets him to that level 5 mark, but is a little bit behind the curve. On the other side of the map, Sybil, after ganking the mid lane, after burning both of Claire's summoners, does get himself the trade now.
But there's just nothing on that side of the jungle. There's no Gromp for him to take. There's no Wolf Camp, so he's wasted, you know, another 30 seconds. Meanwhile, Trance is floating mid lane, so going to ask Claire the question that is on everyone's mind. Obviously, he is ready for Trance because he backs away.
I blanked on that one. I'm like, what question are you talking about? But
come on, mate. I make the same joke every single week. I'm not going
Sybil.
to claim to be original.
He's,
As Claire, in a little bit of
behind
trouble here, is going to look for the knock-up. He's not going to land it. The flick is going to be there. Drags him back. Will get vacuumed in as well. Has to burn the cleanse one more time. Flash over to secure the damage, and Shock grabs the kill.
And that was such a nice gank. Sybil just floating on the edge of Yasuo's dash range means that he doesn't have the flash. Sure, he had the cleanse to buy a little bit more time, but he can't dash to the Talia. There was no way for him to get out. Claire has had so much pressure around the mid lane so far. Sybil has spent so much time here against his ex-mid laner, and it's coming up trumps for Tectonic.
Certainly is. Claire, to win this lane, has to be able to trade.
Yep.
One of the rules of Yasuo, and right now you can't trade if you don't have summoner spells, so just not reading the play well. Sybil, once again,
Decoy,
down the
does he
bottom.
face
Decoy
check?
face checking is going to be here. We'll get slowed. We'll actually go forward before he goes back. That's a gangplank. Ultimate used as well, and Decoy is just going to burn down. Gungrab actually flashed forward. A little bit confusing, but still a kill.
Another kill goes over to Tectonic there. Decoy not respecting the jungler, and that seems like the game plan here for Legacy. You know, so many ganks being successful right now. Doesn't burn the flash because he knew that there were flashes to follow up. Of course, Gunkrab burned his, but he would have died anyway. Combos forward because it's really the only option he has to buy some time. Shock with a pretty broken master in the aftershock. It's a very good trade onto Claire in the mid lane.
I did not expect that trade to go that way, Bryce. I'm not going to lie. I thought that was going to be a little bit more one-sided. Paprise top lane. Yeah, he's just going to walk this one out, but unfortunately he's not going towards safety. He's only takes the kill.
Yeah, wants to get himself back in the game. You know, it was level 4, what, like 2 minutes ago? So now spiked up to that level 7 mark, is even with Sybil with the kill on the back end of that one. But that's disastrous for Paprise because he just based and TP'd back to the top lane there. He does not have that summoner available. Sure, we're still on patch 8.13, so it's not TP nerf patch because it was delivered late. So these teams didn't have enough time to practice on the new patch, so we didn't flick over. But that's a big wave that's just going into the turret. About a 30 CS lead for Mimic on this Rumble on the top side, and this is a much more successful Rumble game with the early game for Legacy.
And I feel like this is one of those times where they last week said, we're going to punish Gangplank, and then it didn't work.
Yep.
And they said, Gangplank is unpunishable. We can pick him early. He is a safe blind pick.
Yeah.
And now Mimic is like, oh, they picked Gangplank. I'll punish this. And they're like, oh, we shouldn't have blind picked Gangplank. Because there were other things available, like the Mundo, as you mentioned, that they have played in the past and would have fit this comp, to be honest, but just did not go towards.
They just wanted a little bit more of that damage. Of course, Paprise did use the ulti in the bottom lane as well, so just had literally no tools available.
That, I am the expert on this kind of comp.
Okay.
Let me tell you, Order plays a couple of them. Gangplank does not need to be even for this comp to win.
Yep.
He needs... His ult is actually the engage tool, which sounds real stupid, but Trance without Flash can't catch up. He's a little bit too slow. So you just drop the Gangplank where you want the team fight to happen. Now, Sybil caught out a little bit, gets torn back. That will be the ultimate used. Galio ultimate also going to be secured, a 3-man knockup. But where is the rest of Tectonic? Not going to be there. Flash over the wall comes out. Now they have to disengage.
And they split directions. Trance actually went through the lane, through the turret there to try and get to the fight. Sybil, flashless on the Talia, gets caught overextending into the jungle, so he falls down. For a jungler that was very high up in this matchup, took away the blue buff, level 1, returned to that, took a second one away. This is Rift Herald going over to Only. He's found some kills to get himself back in the game.
And this could be mid lane turret. You can see Shock trying to chase him away from it, but the charge is going to register. You can see that they are trying to pressure him. If the turret doesn't go down, you would say wasted Herald, however.
100% wasted. They didn't pop it with the wave, so Shock just has all the time in the world to whack away, and there's no pressure that Legacy can really put down on the turret. Sure, you get, what, like 65% of the HP, but that's not what you want. They just took that one down. Only, though, round 2 on the top side.
And he's just going to try and eat him himself. Equalizer will come down as well. Paprise is trying to run this one out, but it's not going to work. Uses a flash. Forward goes Mimic, trying to burn him down. However, now Gangplank ultimate dropped, and that will just be a successful dive.
The minion 100% saves Paprise's life there. Holds on to the flash for a very long time, and Legacy, they're going to win the first brick race. Tectonic, sure, they have their jungler down bot side, but they do have the priority, but that's a very early turret. A 30 CS lead, now 50 for the Rumble, and this Gangplank, sure, can function from behind. You don't need it to be ahead, but he's falling very far.
Yeah, it's a super big lead right now. You would think all of the 1,000 gold is probably on Mimic, and then some. Just given the fact that, you know, there is an 11 CS lead in the bottom, and it is 1,500 gold right now, the lead.
And I'm just surprised about the 500 lead in the jungle as well. Only absolutely back in this game from a position where he should have been set behind very early. Of course, bottom lane.
Took a turret and 2 kills.
Yep. He absolutely did. Just Hit him with a chomp.
I'm going to argue he should still be behind. He should have given solo gold over to Mimic.
And
he shouldn't have taken the first kill either.
Giving him the first one. Yeah, that, it's probably a fair debate to be had there, I reckon.
I reckon Mimic's having it with him right now. However, he's doing a very good job. 2 of the 3 kill participation. Certainly nothing to scoff at.
Yep, and sort of unlucky for Tectonic that they had the Air Drake spawn. You know, like in terms of splitting the map, Legacy have had firm control of the top side. Tectonic in reverse have had control of bottom side. They haven't really wanted to waste any time taking down that Air Drake because they're not so far up in priority that they get it for free. They would be trading with something on the other side of the map, so they haven't really wanted to invest into what is a pretty nothing objective at this point of the game.
Absolutely agree. Instead, they're going to congregate around the mid lane turret without an 80 carry. So not all that much is going to happen here, Bryce.
Just wanted to shove that one in. Rod of Ages will be the first purchase for shot. See a lot of AP Gallios on the loose recently. Roa into things like the Zhonyas. Do a whole lot of damage. Hasn't really found a way to access the side lanes in this game early. We talked about the engage potential from Tectonic. They haven't found one yet. As such, Legacy find themselves with a gold lead. But there's always that trigger. Trance has the flash. Galio can follow up onto multiple people for Legacy. They do find themselves in the lead, but
I do not think now is the time to pull that trigger. With a level 11 Rumble, double penetration items, and a real big rod. However, they go over the wall. Claire going to burn down. One more auto attack would do it. In fact, the Ignite just will. Now they drop the Equalizer, but that is a bad ultimate out of Mimic. They get the Dragon, but they lose the fight.
Yeah, and Claire once again getting picked on. Now 0-2-0 on the Yasuo. Sure, he's even in farm, but he's the one behind for this team. Burns both of his summoners and goes down anyway. Air Drake is the prize for Legacy. Everyone down expending resources into that one, so nobody around close enough to help.
And the
just
thing
falls down.
is that was a 20 CS swing as well as a kill. So they're now back within 400 gold on the trade of an Air Drake, which you would say not very worth at this stage of the game.
And it gives Paprise a little bit of respite on the top side, so he goes back, picks up a Hex Drinker, now should fare better in terms of dives against a Trundle, against the Rumble in the side lane, so buys him a little bit of time. Tectonic don't really care that the Air Drake was taken away. I don't know why we see so many OPL bottom lanes play Zyra Khan and not back together, Jay. We see it every single week.
That was my theory about why Zyra Khan funnel was so good.
Yep.
So I agree with you. It's just, you can do anything as the Rakan. You can go get a little bit more vision, make sure you're not going to be poked out. Sybil steals a crap.
Oh, snipes it. Yeah, because it is...
Anything is better than nothing in that situation.
It is, like, out and out, like, undebatably optimal to, like, if Xayah starts her recall first, like, and you're going to recall anyway, just jump on in. Like, there's nothing, there's no, like, trade-off, there's nothing. You just get on. Of course, it didn't actually mean that much. It cost them, like, maybe a second.
I hate it when people don't body block spells.
Oh, as Rakan?
Yeah.
Yep. And then, like, dash back.
Just E straight back in. Or at least throw a cheeky E on me, because then maybe the shield will stop it.
Because that's the thing, and not a lot of people know, if you have a shield, like, damage doesn't actually register on your champion, it just registers on the shield. So if you're channeling a recall, channeling an ability that gets cancelled by damage, if you have a shield that doesn't get broken, you just continue the channel. And you see that a lot with Zyra Khan. It's kind of a, like, when you learn something like that, it's so cool to implement. That's one of those, like, moments that you go back into a game, your next game, you pull it off, and you're like, man, I'm incredible.
I'm a 1% better player now.
Yeah.
And all the little 1% is how you get better at League. Everyone's waiting for that big moment where you're like, I just went from silver.
1v5.
Yeah, I went from silver to diamond overnight. Here's the 15-second video of how. But really all it is
it's just a challenge.
Implementing little...
on a silver account, grinding it back up to diamond in a day.
Implementing little things into your game is always going to be how you have to get better, Bryce, unfortunately.
And Legacy right now, they throw Claire up into the top side. They have a fairly decent 1-3-1 comp. The mid lane is hard to dive. They have double tanks and a Swain. Of course, the engage potential from Tectonic is absolutely great, but it does mean that they have a pressure point in the side lane. Mimic absolutely going to win the 1 versus 1 versus the gangplank. Means that Claire's going to have a long lane to farm in, only. Looking to get onto Sybil, doesn't quite find it.
One thing I will say is, even though Yasuo was good in the side lane, probably not good into Zyra Khan, because Zyra Khan, if you can blow him up before the wall comes down, and given the fact of how well they run forward, will do a lot of damage right now.
As Trance.
Headbutt pole, rip back, will get a Galio ultimate, which means that they will knock up 2 members, and now Trance can go forward. That is a huge ultimate coming out of Trance. Already they blow up Raid, and now on the back end of it, Claire will get a 2-man knock-up, and the ultimate was not used in time from Gunkrab. Trance will also fall down, and a bad team fight coming out of Tectonic.
But honestly, the start of that, I'm like, Decoy just went in, he burnt the combo, and Claire was stuck in the Baron pit, couldn't do anything, but he gets his own knock-up. He doesn't need a cow to do it for him. Huge play from the 0-2 mid
All the
laner.
flick registers, and now with the challenging smite, does he get the damage? No, he was already on the workaround. If he took in a half a step to the right, would have grabbed that kill.
Legacy absolutely take advantage of the team fight there. Extend the gold lead just a little bit further.
And
Sybil trying to contest his camps, unfortunately unable to.
I want to see that replay again, because I think that Gunkrab shouldn't have got hit by that. He had Flash, had ultimate available, and ultied afterwards.
Yep.
Which I think is a little bit inexcusable, Bryce, as we take a look.
We'll see it, because it starts off Decoy Burns combo onto Trance. He gets ripped back by Ray, but there's not a lot of damage to follow up. And at this point, I'm like, Claire is stuck in the Baron pit. Galio's here. Big engage from the Rakan, gets multiple people, but on the backside, Claire is just getting ignored. And this is the knockup you're talking about. The Xayah doesn't dodge anything, so the entire time he's airborne, just tanking the Rumble ulti on top of Yasuo's damage, and they fall down.
Yeah, that should have been a flash at the minimum. I mean, you can say probably didn't have time to react with the ultimate, but as soon as he dashes towards your AD carry, you need to create some space. So Gunkrab will fall down. It's only the first time this game, and don't get me wrong, they're still within 1,000 gold with a crit AD carry. Not a bad thing.
Absolutely. We've seen them take over games. Mimic is still getting further and further ahead. Has been grouping a little bit. Burnt that ulti in the mid lane to try and defend Claire when he ultimately just died anyway. So CS lead is still about 50, but the fact that he's got 3 kills, is working on his items, is 1,300 gold up now.
He was 1,500 gold up, though.
That's true.
So this Gangplank, the added levels into the parlay, starting to give him a little bit of extra money.
Because this is a grass Gangplank as well. It's not the Klepto that's like exponentially getting gold every time he queues, things like that. He's gone for the extra safety in lane. Unfortunately for Paprise, wasn't enough to...
well, imagine how bad it would have been if he didn't have primary resolve.
Well, I mean, then there's the flip side of the coin. It's like, look, I'm going to die. I'm going to die anyway. I might as well just farm it up with a Klepto.
But he's not queuing anyone. As soon as he gets into range, he's just dead.
He's just making bank. But yeah, that's absolutely true. Legacy, of course, we have approached that 20-minute mark. Now 20 minutes, 40 seconds into the game. So Baron is up and available, and Tectonic do just flip the map. Trance still has Flash, so an engage can just come at the drop of a hat if he's in any sort of territory around the Galio.
And I like that Mimic's gone for an early Void Staff, because even though Cyclone said, you know, they don't necessarily think scaling is on their side, I think as soon as you've got a crit 80 carry, if you get towards 5 items, you should probably win the game still. They do a ridiculous amount of late game damage. Whereas Mimic's build right now does optimal DPS.
Not to mention, it's not even like a crit 80 carry. When you don't have an 80 carry, and they do, like that is enough in itself. Like they have someone that is dedicated to hitting turrets, that is sustained attack damage in a team fight. Claire, sure, he can do a lot, but it relies on him to get onto the carries in the backline. He really has to be on Xayah, on the Talia, or the Gangplank to be doing anything. And it's just not as reliable as an 80 carry, and Gunkrab is working towards his 2 items. So once he gets there, once he gets to the Infinity Edge in the 3rd, you have to feel like is definitely going to be coming online.
And I think the fundamentals of this lineup have certainly increased. That's going to be an ulti forward. No flick available, so Raid will burn his ulti in response. Rip forward the Talia, but takes all of his health in damage.
Yeah, but nobody was in melee range. Trance, of course, went in early, then just backed out, so they couldn't follow up with the Galio. Legacy just tried to back away. They do have the pressure on the bot side now. Paprise. Ultimate goes wide. It only hits the wave.
Yeah, it does get a nice slow hit. Paprise will drop his ultimate as well, hiding behind this turret. And Legacy just cannot make the turrets work in their favor. Will be able to flash out, but Paprise shuts him down.
And that's an outplay 2 versus 1. Tectonic on the other side of the map. They've started up. Baron, is this enough? There's no TP from the Gangplank, so he's not going to get there, but only is so far away.
Certainly is, and there's only 3,000 health left. They have to stay and burn this objective. No vacuum going to be there. Sybil will get back in the pit and will be able to smite it down. Over the wall goes Decoy, but that's only a 1-man ultimate. And now they should just be able to disengage. Leave Shock to the Wolves. He taunts 3 members. He's going to flash out himself and just try and run.
And that was a proactive play from Legacy in the bot lane, trying to turn it around. Tectonic have the answer. Shock desperately trying to live, but that's an Alistar, Trundle, Swain. There's so much CC here. Sure, not a whole lot of damage.
He's a very takey boy. He's still looking to try and get some damage out here. Will get denied a knocker.
Very nice play from Claire. That's 4 versus 1. Flashless Galio, and they pick it up, but Tectonic, honestly, in this situation, Paprise lives in the 2 versus 1. They get 2 members. Actually, I think 3 with the Baron buff, and that's very early on into the game. Gold lead now 2,000 in their favor. That's a big swing.
They grab themselves the 2nd item on Gunkrab, get the Hurricane. Now, all of a sudden, more of Malmortius finished up for Paprise as well.
He didn't even need it. Underneath the turret, if Rumble ulti misses, you don't need a Hex Drinker. Who cares?
So doing A-OK.
Absolutely is.
He's up in experience.
That is an absolute disaster. Level 15 to level 14 of Mimic. Of course, that's round 2. We talked about it. Like, we don't know which team it was versus, but that's the 2v2 dive Mimic and only with this Rumble pick as weeks gone by has been disastrous now.
Yeah, they need to sort that out.
Yep.
That was an ugly dive. At this stage of the game, Trundle's a real tanky dude.
Yep.
He should be under there whacking away as well, because in that situation, killing him quicker and getting Mimic to teleport to stop the Baron is better than only living and running there eventually.
Yep. And I mean, like, I don't want to nitpick it too much, but you can just wait for the GP to corner himself behind the turret and then blow the pillar.
Yep.
Like, they just burnt the pillar at the wrong time. The Rumble ulti went down at the wrong time. Like, they should have been used in conjunction to guarantee the pick off here. Legacy in this situation now, they know there's no way they're going to hold that mid lane out of turret, so they send 3 people bot to try and pick on the gangplank. Both top laners have TP, so everything fizzles. Tectonic kind of walking away from this one, wanting to play it slow, not willing to opt in for the straight 5v5 on a mid lane turret.
I was going to say, if there is a way, it's a real deep flank that gets a 3-man headbutt pulve into immediate Yasuo ultimate. Because still, Claire, pretty big boy, has the double BF swords.
Yeah, he's going double BF for IE and then half of a Phage.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, he's gone for a little bit of everything here. Both teams still just A-ramming it up in the mid lane. Tectonic really want to break down this turret. Legacy, they don't have flash on the Alistar, so
They
it's hard to
catch
get
out
in.
Gunkrab again, however, nice counter engage. Gunkrab still the main target here. On the back line goes Paprise, picks up one. Claire dancing around in circles. Everyone is on shock, and this looks like a massively one-team fight. Sybil is already dead. 80 carry fallen down, and somehow Tectonic drop it.
Disaster for Tectonic. Once again, Gunkrab flashless this time, but he still gets picked up. Trance, he looks for the counter engage, but they just don't have the burst. Galio has to be keeping Xayah alive and sustain damage from this lineup. You have the Swain, goes into bird form, didn't even have to use his Zhonya's on the back end of that one, picked up 3 kills and is now huge.
And the thing is as we take another look at it.
Yeah, we're just going to see, like, Legacy are playing very patient. They're both on pink wards. Tectonic know that they are there, but the rip back from the Swain means that Galio can't ulti when all the damage comes down because he's knocked up by the Yasuo on the back end. Claire keeps them busy. Sure, Paprise trades with Rumble at this point, but he's got no more damage. Trance, if he goes in, he will just die. There's nothing left for Tectonic, and Legacy just run away with it.
And a triple kill for the Swain means that now we'll be up there in items as well. Was falling very far behind 40 CS and was down in gold across the board, but now should be all right.
Yep. Even in gold, going for a Leandri, so has that 2-item spike with the Zhonya's, has that safety, now just goes for pure damage against something like a Galio. Now Swain can rip through it when you don't have, like we were talking about, when you don't have an 80 carry. That ramping damage from the Swain that is just so consistent is super helpful there, and that was the Baron play from Tectonic. They were up 2k, that's a negative 2k Baron play that they just made, trying to break a mid lane outer. They have the priority. They can just split the lanes with the Baron buff. Sure, Legacy probably have a better 1-3-1 composition in terms of champions, but when you just have broken minions and they have little poopy minions that just die immediately, doesn't matter what the champions are, you can just play it slowly and force them out.
Certainly does not. And even though Sybil is quite strong, it's currently sitting 0-4. Not a flattering scoreline against his old team. And I think it's just been caught in the team fights a little bit too much. I think his early game was actually quite okay.
So Legacy still retaining map control. You can see sides of the map still are definitely split straight away from lane phase.
Is that a fire Drake? It must be. You don't give up this much control over the top side of your map for a non-fire Drake.
Gunkrab just whacking away in the turret. Also the minions, has himself a Rune-Arns, and Legacy once again looking to pick on the gangplank, but it's not Mimic down there. It's only Claire with the Trundle, so you think it might be a little bit harder. Not to mention last time wasn't successful.
Not as a Mountain Drake. I think that's a real bad mistake, because if they kill Mimic here, and they have the ultimate available on Trance, they could look to break the base.
And that's
not going to go for it.
I'm surprised Shock isn't floating topside right now. He just Justice punched back towards the creep wave, towards where his turret should be. They're looking right now in the bush for Mimic to rotate the greedy way. He doesn't. He goes the safe way through the turret, so they don't find this opportunity.
Still looking for it. Pops
Shirelli
the talisman, but not going to be there. Shirelli as it is.
Doesn't have the flash, so can't close the gap immediately. Because you're absolutely right. That was multiple people from Legacy taking down that Earth Drake. If they just pick on Mimic, sure, he actually, no, he doesn't have a stopwatch as well. Used a bottom lane on the dive, doesn't go for the Zhonya's second item because he went for the early spiking Void.
Yep.
If the CC lands, that's a very easy kill into an inhib, and Tectonic, they just don't look for the play.
Yeah, they should be a dead Rumble, but not going to be the case. Instead, they just trade one turret for one turret, trying to get priority over this mid lane still.
And that's double Earth Drake for Legacy. Baron spawning in about another minute if they ever get time to do it. Sure, they don't have the best Baron team. Rumble is okay. Yasuo is okay. They don't have an AD carry, stuff like that. But Double Earths certainly help.
I think that must be a QSS for Gunkrab. I was going to say cardinal sin of an 80 carry is when you've been caught twice, you have a null magic mantle, but you don't complete the QSS.
And he doesn't.
And he still has not done it, Bryce. I've just watched him buy back-to-back BF swords when he hasn't auto-attacked anyone.
Yeah, he's feeling pretty brave, you know?
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. No, shame on you, shame on me. Shame on the QSS.
At that point, it's just an absolute disaster. Yeah, because he has enough gold. QSS is like 1,300, just straight up bought a BF sword.
Yep.
So does not care about that at all. Claire, thankfully, finds himself in the side lane now. He's actually up in CS, got himself the 2 items, working on the Sterak. So splitting up and opening up the map. The fact that Tectonic weren't able to do anything with that Baron means that Claire's finding himself just alone in the side lane, kind of farming himself back up into the game. And Legacy, Baron spawning in 8 seconds. They're going mid lane. They want mid priority. They want to set up.
That is a very nice keg that just hit Raid, but it didn't do all that much damage. Stormrazor, however, has been picked up. 3-item game plank. Now to match the 3-item rumble. You would say that he's probably up in gold now. Nice flick lands, but only. Pretty tanky dude with that adaptive helm.
Yeah, absolutely is. Pillar goes out to buy some distance. Another one of these situations, both teams in the mid lane, you know, this fight can just start almost immediately. You have to think Tectonic.
Good start now. That is going to be Sybil getting taken very low. In goes the Galio, but not on the ideal targets. Now Shot gets a 3-man taunt. Trance wants everyone, but not able to get them. And this is just a huge team fight for Legacy. You can see the Gangplank ultimate is doing a fair amount of damage, but they just take the kill and they walk away.
And Cyclone said it in his interview. It's about which team gets the engage they want. Tectonic have to burn the hero's entrance on the Galio to try and keep Sybil alive. Sure they do, but that's not the situation you want to find yourself in.
Flash forward out of Mimic, will pick up the kill here. Could potentially get chased down, but is moving very quickly. Use the Spellbinder.
The Spellbinder is absolutely zooming. Wind
now
wall.
Gunkrab has to use that ultimate into a wind wall. Feathers stay there, however.
Yeah, they don't actually get eaten. They just sit at the front of the wall. But that's 2 members dead from Tectonic right now. They were looking for that proactive play. You know, they're sending all 5 people mid lane, and Legacy just find the rip once again. It's actually the Swain that's starting up these fights. Raid, sure, his scoreline didn't look good till he cleaned up the fight, but he's been finding the picks.
Certainly has. Now Baron has been started up. There will be the grand entrance. Flash forward, however, onto the 80 carry, and Gunkrab falls down. Now Trance joins him in the death chamber. It is a 5v1, and only a dream. Big keg there will land, but nothing else can happen, and now they will just recall.
And that's a desperation contest coming out of Tectonic. There's no way they're actually going to win that fight. Decoy burns the Flash, picks up 2 kills on the back end, and they scale fine. They have the crit 80 carry. They have the Gangplank. Sure, Legacy will get the Baron, but just go to side lanes, push it out, buy yourself some respite when they go back to base and Legacy look to set up the siege. Unfortunately, they don't. They just give more gold over to Legacy. And now Death Timers, they're just going to set up the mid lane and look for the pick.
And Shock actually might be in some trouble here. Has to flash, has to burn the punch. However, Equalizer used is a big deal.
It's a big cooldown.
And you would say that they needed to show a little bit more patience. Kind of what Legacy did to them. Stall out the Baron. This Baron shouldn't win the game regardless, so that shouldn't be a game-ending play. But you're about to pick up a Death Cap. You're about to pick up an Infinity Edge on a couple of carries, it looks like right now. Why go for the risk? This bottom lane now being sieged.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was another situation. He goes back to base. Gunkrab doesn't find himself with the amount of gold to pick up a QSS now. Legacy, you mentioned this won't be a Baron that ends the game unless they find like a big alley combo, unless they find a big wombo.
Without Flash, that should be impossible.
Yep. Every successful fight, as I said, has been set up by a rip back from Raid. So when Galio has a Zhonya's, when Xayah eventually completes a QSS, Gangplank has Oranges, things like that. When they complete these items, they do have the tools to just get out of that one immediately. And as soon as Tectonic can start using the Galio proactively with the Rakan, instead of trying to desperately keep a carry alive, I feel like they should be faring much better in these team fights.
This is a mean thing to say, but unfortunately for Sybil, he should have just died then. He should have given up his life, shouldn't have been saved, was not worth Galio's time. Because the grand entrance could have been used very nicely, as that's going to be a wall across. That's going to be actually Raid having to go golden. Big team fight coming out here, however, missed time on the taunt. And now they're just going to have to disengage. You can see they're still chasing forward. This is still a 5v3.
Feathers do break the Mobies from Alistar, though, so no way. Once they go down, he can make up the distance. That was such a nice Zhonya's at a Raid. Just enough time. The taunt timed out before he could go through. Trance takes a big chunk of the back end of that one.
However, now without ultimate, without Zhonya's, Raid does have to be careful in these team fights. If he gets flicked back or caught by any form of CC, he's very easy to blow up.
Gunkrab does not care. He just TP'd from the fountain to his inhibitor turret. We're after 20 minutes. He has home guards at this point. Didn't want to run. Burnt the TP to get there immediately. Legacy find themselves with a turret picking up.
Flick not going to register. Mimic still just split pushing on the top side of the map. Has a lot of AP, so that falls very nicely.
Now we find themselves with a 5,000 gold lead here. Legacy cementing their lead. About just less than a quarter left on the Baron, so they really have 1 or 2 waves to get anything done.
Equalizer dropped onto Gunkrab. They want to break the base here, and they should be able to go inside the base. They actually go for the team fight. Gunkrab gonna have to use the ultimate very proactively. Claire taken very low, however. Raid flashing forward. Good kicks will be there, but Mimic is destroying the backline. That is going to be a triple kill picked up for the top laner of Legacy. Raid will clean up the team fight, and that will be the game.
And I said Tectonic had to be more proactive. Trance, without ultimate, gets a 3-man knock-up. The Galio comes over the top, but Legacy just run forward.
They certainly do. They do not care. They disregard the grand entrance there, and they will be able to take down one turret. Second turret will now fall. Claire taking that one up, and it will be the inhibitor. And, sorry, the Nexus falling down. 35 minutes into the game. Legacy will take game 1.
Absolutely turnaround there. Looking much better in week number 6. Of course, falling down 0-2 last week. That's an absolute disaster versus AV. And game number 1, they pick out some weird stuff. We haven't seen Rumble. Mimic's the only one to play it in the OPL, and that was a successful game there. Sure, there were blunders. The dives with only in the bottom lane was a complete disaster, but they just make the fight stick in the mid lane. Every time 10 members were on the screen, Legacy just won.
Yeah, and I think it's because Shock's ultimate were really not onto the right targets. He was using it to save people as opposed to using it to, you know, layer with Trance, get the big ultimates into the back line and try and just... Because if you hold up the Rumble and you hold up the Yasuo, all of a sudden that is a very low damage comp, but they just were never able to find that.
And that's the thing, right? I was talking about pre-game that Legacy are the team that are just doubling down on their mistakes. They're overcommitting, trying to save people, but it's exactly what we saw Tectonic do. You mentioned Galio ulti had to be used to try and save Sybil in the mid-fight. Like, at that point, you should probably just let him die. Like, he should just die flat out, and then you have the ulti to try and win. Like, you can contest the Baron 4v5, but they constantly found themselves in a hole, tried to dig themselves out of it. Fortunately, just dug it a little deeper, and then Legacy run away with the game.
And the thing in that game is that I feel like Legacy were the team on the clock, but for whatever reason, Tectonic were playing rushed League of Legends. Legacy went through their period of trying to rush the play, but for the last 10 minutes of that, Tectonic time and time again were just trying to force and getting caught out.
Yeah, it was just like all the Baron contests, right? Like that just makes it absolutely known. 3 versus 5. Alistar still has flash. They just step up, instant combo onto the Rakan. He goes down, Xayah dies. Sure, Paprise lives, but they're just desperately trying to hold on to a game where, as you mentioned, they had the scaling advantage and should have been playing it slow. This is 2 weeks in a row where Cyclone has said something in the interview, like game plan is this, and then Tectonic haven't really followed it. Last week, they were like, look, we're going to punish Gangplank, and then they just threw all their pressure bot side. This time, it's like, sure, they have the scaling, but they don't play towards it.
They certainly don't. When you grab something really tight, it slips through your fingers, and that's what happened to game number 1. However, guys, we are going to throw to a quick break. When we get back, Nick as well as Curtis will break down that game.
Thanks to Hungry Jacks, you can win a trip for 2 to the 2018 World's Grand Final in Korea. To enter, head to os.lolesports.com/worlds-trip and fill out your details. The trip includes flights, transfers, accommodation, and tickets to the 2018 World's Grand Final. All thanks to Hungry Jacks.
Hungry Jack's new pulled beef burger. Slow-cooked pulled beef with crispy slaw and paired perfectly with new pulled beef loaded chips. Cooked slowly, but enjoyed quickly.
Paprise will drop his ultimate as well, hiding behind this turret, and Legacy just cannot make the turrets work in their favor. Will be able to flash out, but Paprise shuts him down.
And that's an outplay 2 versus 1. Tectonic on the other side of the map. They've started up Baron.
Sybil will get back in the pit and will be able to smite it down. Over the wall goes Decoy, but that's only a 1-man ultimate. Now they should just be able to disengage. Leave Shock to the Wolves. Nice counter engage. Gunkrab still the main target here. On the back line goes Paprise. Picks up 1. Claire dancing around in circles. Everyone is on Shock, and this looks like a massively won team fight. Sybil is already dead. 80 carry fallen down, and somehow Tectonic drop it. There will be the grand entrance. Flash forward, however, onto the 80 carry, and Gunkrab falls down. Now Trance joins him in the death chamber. It is a 5v1, and only a dream. Big keg there will land, but 35 minutes into the game, Legacy will take game one